Are you trying to lose weight and nothing seems to be working? Are you going in the gym and doing loads of cardio? Are you eating loads of healthy food? But the most important thing, are you tracking your calories? Do you even know what you're putting in your mouth? Well, if you don't, I need to explain how important that is. So what are calories then? So calories are units of energy, and calories are measured for how much energy food gives you and how much your body uses. And then we need to work out what calories our body needs. So we've got the BMR, so basal metabolic rate. So that's the number of calories that keeps us alive. So when we're sleeping, doing nothing, that is the baseline number. And then we've got the TDEE, total daily energy expenditure. So that's the calories that we use and we burn throughout the day through breathing, walking, exercise, any activity. So that's the number burnt. So we need to work out what our maintenance calories are. And then to lose weight, we've got to go into a deficit. So for example, if we're at 2,000 calories, that's our maintenance. If we stay at that and we track our food and we stick to 2,000 calories, nothing changes. So we don't get fatter and we don't lose any weight, right? So then we've got to go into a deficit if we want to lose weight. So that's anything around, below that number. Normally we're looking about 500 drop to 750. For every 500 calories we drop, that equates to around about a pound of body fat. So if we want to gain, if we need to put some more muscle on, we need to go above our 2,000 maintenance number. And that might look like 2,500. And we need to build that up. So once we know that, then we've got to go into tracking. Now that's, it's a bit boring, it's a bit tedious, but when you get the hang of it, it becomes a habit, and it's a must do. You must be weighing out your food. You need to know what the grams are of the food groups. So you can have a look on the packet, and then the easiest way to do this is through the tracking apps. So you've got Lose It, you've got Chronometer, and you've got MyFitnessPal. Now, I will go on record to say that MyFitnessPal is by far the strongest. So I've used all of the apps. I've used coaching apps as well. And MyFitnessPal, the database is extensive. So you can literally find anything. And what you need to do then, you need to type up in MyFitnessPal what you've had for your breakfast. So if that's, for instance, overnight oats, you log that. And then you go on to your dinner or your lunch and you log that as well. And then on MyFitnessPal, it'll have your number of calories. And then when you input those food groups into your diary, it will subtract that off and it'll tell you what you've got left. And if you've never done this before, download the app, put your stats in, so your height, your weight, your age, and what your goal is to lose a pound of body fat a week. And it'll give you your number. So it'll give you your target number. And if you try that for a week, you'll be amazed at how much people get this wrong, with the food decisions. And you have, something extravagant for your breakfast. That might equate to, I don't know, full English breakfast, for instance. It could be 1,000 or more calories. And then you have, something for your lunch, which might be, a packet sandwich, which is easy and quick, as a meal deal, packet of crisps. Before you know it, you're 2,500 calories, 3,000 calories. And then you've got your evening tea. So it's amazing how many people get that wrong, because, I've asked friends and family to try it, and they've done it for a couple of days and they've left themselves with 100 calories for their evening tea. And they're going, I've mucked it up. I can't do anything about it. Well, it's a learning curve, isn't it? It is a learning curve. So, if you do nothing else, you don't have to go to the gym. just track your food. Just do that for a week. You'll be amazed, honestly. So, and if you're dropping 500 calories off your maintenance calories and you're tracking that daily and you know that you're, for instance, only having 1,500 calories, you're going to see the scale weight drop. And then if you complement that with doing 8, 10,000, 12,000 steps, that will complement that, so you don't need to be killing yourself at the gym. So forget the cardio nonsense. Cardio is important, it is, but you're going to get enough from walking. And then if you do go to the gym, just do it on a treadmill, on an incline, at a steady pace, or do the Stairmaster, or something like that. You don't need to be killing yourself and killing your joints running on a treadmill. So you need to stop that. The other thing we can do to complement weight loss, fat loss, and to burn more fat is to put more muscle on. So I would recommend 2 to 3 days go in the gym as well if you are confident in going in the gym. Now, if you're not confident in going in the gym, that's absolutely fine. And there's normally the one thing that stops people, and that's their current body type, don't know what they're doing, or they're worried what people will think of them. Well, let me tell you, everybody else is on their own pathway and they don't care what you're doing. They don't care about your form. They don't care what weights you're lifting. They're on their own pathway and they're concentrating on their own session. So once you go for a couple of days and forget about what people are thinking, you'll be fine, honestly, and the fear will go. And once you get stronger and you're recording your weights, and you're doing progressive overloads, so that means that your weights are increasing each session or week to week, you're getting stronger. And if you're getting stronger and lifting heavier weights, you're building muscle. Now, to build a load of muscle takes months, even years. So losing body fat, the scales will come down. Now, people think, well, I don't want to put a load of muscle on because that's going to make me heavier. Well, it won't, because the amount of muscle that you would take for that even to register would be a massive, massive amount, which isn't realistic and it's not going to happen. So I want to remind people of as well, especially females, is have a fear about protein. Now, protein is not the enemy. Protein is the single most important part of this process because, again, more protein, it keeps you fuller for longer and it keeps your muscles stronger. So as we get older, we naturally lose muscle. So it's really important at our age, so over 40s, to give our muscles the best chance of survival and longevity, and that's protein. So recommend 30 grams of protein with every single meal. Now, protein shakes, whey, that's just a supplement. So you don't necessarily have to take it. You can get it from natural food sources like chicken, fish, natural yogurts, and so forth and so forth. But it's there as a complement. So if you are having something else, like some fruit for your breakfast, and it hasn't got a lot of, it hasn't got hardly any protein in it, you need to complement that, with 1 scoop of whey protein, 25, 30 grams. That's it. You've got that in, haven't you? So it's not to have straight after a session. It's not to have before a session. It's just to complement, your macros throughout the day. And if you can do it naturally with foods, then brilliant. But it's there if you need it. The next important thing is getting enough fruit and fibre. So a lot of people talk about, saying add colour to your food, and that's what they mean. So fruit and vegetables. So it's got full of fibre. It's going to keep you fuller for longer. It's a greater amount of food and volume on your plate. So again, keeps you fuller for longer. And it's just good for you as well. It's got all the vitamins that your body needs. So it's highly, highly recommended. There's a few tips and tricks that you can do. So when you're losing body fat and you are having less calories, now there will be times where you get hungry. So there's a couple of tips and tricks that we can do to stop that. So when you've got your calorie target, you can divide that into 3-4 meals throughout the day. And obviously you can incorporate some snacks along the way, like a light Baby Bell cheese, or again some fruit, or a fruit yogurt bowl, or even a little bit of dark chocolate if you need that in your life for a bit of a sweet tough. Now, carbonated drinks, so 0-calorie fizzy drinks, Pepsi Max, Coke Zero, sparkling water, all those kind of things. Carbonated sodas do keep you fuller as well. Same with black coffee, and then drinking at least 3 litres of water. And the other thing is keeping busy. So if you're busy at work or you're busy doing an activity, you won't really think about food. So if we can space your meals out, so say every 4 hours, and just equal them up throughout the day, you're going to give yourself a better chance. And like I say, if you're having plenty of protein, plenty of fruit and fibre, you're going to last a lot longer to that next meal time. Probably one of the most important bits of advice that I can give you is getting in front of your food. And by that, I mean preparation. So it's about consistency. And I think if you've got less thinking time with food, you're going to make better choices. First things first, if there's any kind of snacks, crisps, chocolate, get them out of the way. You can get them out the drawer or give them away. Stop buying them. And then we need to think about the foods that we're going to have this week. So the easiest way to do that is keep it to 1 or 2 breakfasts. So myself, I like overnight oats, or I might have some cream cheese bagels, for instance. Quick, easy to prepare. And I have those every day for a week, and then I might change it to the other one the following week. Same with the lunches. So me and my partner, we will cook in bulk on a Sunday, and we'll make a meal for every single day in the week. So we've got lunch already, haven't got to think about it. We know what we're eating, and then week to week, we'll change that up and have a different recipe. And then evening meals. So what we do, we work out that week. We have a look at what we've got on, any appointments, what we're up to, and then we'll pick certain foods that we're going to have, which are either quick and easy to cook or convenient. What we do is we mark them on a little chalkboard on the fridge, so we know exactly what we're having on a Monday, on a Tuesday, on a Wednesday, so forth and so forth. And then it's just dead easy, because then when we go shopping, we only buy those things. So the shopping bill is less. We know that we've only got in the house what we're cooking and what we're eating that week. And it just makes life so much easier. And we don't eat boring foods either. So, and we'll show you those in other videos. But it doesn't have to be boring. But you need to be consistent. So the less time you've got to think about food, and if you've got food already prepared or already laid out, then that's going to stop you from going to McDonald's on the way home, or, getting some rubbish out of the cupboards or out the fridge. So that is like a really, really important thing in this process. And I can't stress that enough. So get in front of your food and give yourself less decision making. That'll be a game changer, trust me. And if you're stuck for food ideas, jump over onto my Instagram page. So I'll leave the name at the bottom here on the screen. But if you're stuck for ideas, take a look at the recipe ideas. I have got a recipe book as well with a few ideas and how you can map out your calorie targets. So if you'd like that, like I say, jump over to my Instagram page, drop me a message, and I'll send you that over. And that's all from me, guys. So I hope that was useful. I'm going to try and get one of these videos out once a week. And if you find it useful, drop us a like and subscribe and all the usual. And I'll catch you soon.